Hello everybody, I am NicoD and this is the Youyeetoo X1 X86 SBC. So this comes with the Celeron N5105 SoC. So this has got 4 cores, the base clock is 2 GHz, but it can boost to 2.6 GHz on 4 cores and even to 3 GHz on a single core. So the single core performance of this is even better than the RK3588. But of course, all cores it isn't. It is as powerful as the Odroid N2 Plus. I review ARM single board computers, so I compare it with ARM single board computers. I do have this. This is the RockPi X. So this is an older X86 SBC from Russia. This one is 2 times as powerful as this, so that is nice. It isn't a gaming monster, but it can do all the Windows games. So like what I'm playing is Kerbal Space Program. Even GTA 5 runs on it, but not great. It has some stutters. What else? Oh, Cycling Manager, Pro Cycling Manager 2023. So the latest version runs on this. It doesn't look nice, but it runs good enough to be playable. So one of the major plus sides of this board is its great I/O. So it has got this, so the E key, M.2 E key for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It has got NVMe. It also has got a ribbon over here for SATA. So you can connect a hard drive or a SATA SSD to it over here. I do not have this connector, too bad. It also has got MIPI, so for an extra display. It has got a full-sized HDMI port, but also a micro HDMI port. I wish they could replace this with a USB-C connector with PD, because I really do not like this connector. So it has got SD card reader, it has got gigabit Ethernet, USB 3, it has got a lot of expansion ports over here, so 2 times USB 2. Then it has got 3 times UART, that is very handy. It has got SPI, it has got GPIOs, it has got, I don't know what it was. So it really is very good in I/O. I do not want to compare with Raspberry Pi 5, but we have to do this kind of. So CPU wise, it is almost as powerful as the Raspberry Pi 5. But in I/O, this outmatches the Raspberry Pi 5 in everything. And of course, you can run x86 native on this. So for x86 gaming, this is great. For older x86 games, it isn't great for emulation. I tried PS2 on it and that wasn't really playable. So you can do Nintendo 64, PS1. Dreamcast, all those. So yeah, it is a nice board. So in this video we are gonna review this board. So I've been using it now for a week and a half and I must say I'm very happy with it. So for me, I am used to using RK3588 as my main desktop and I will keep using it, but this is great for a second desktop, so I always have 2 computers on. And for this is great. I often have to start my PC just for RK DevTools to burn images on Rockchip devices. Now I can do that with this. I do not have to turn on my PC. It is very silent. It doesn't overheat. The heatsink is great. So it is really a nice board. So let's go to the specs. Here we go! So first let's take a look at the board. So we will start at the top left and go clockwise. So first we see the power over Ethernet pins, then we see the NFC connector. So this is special. So this is a new standard, something like RFID, but it can read and write. So you can use a smartphone with this or a payment card or something like that. I have nothing to test this, but I will see to get something to test this in a later video. For many people this can be very handy. Easy to read and write data from a smartphone or from a card. Great for many projects. Then we see the micro SD card reader. Again, power over Ethernet pins. The micro HDMI. I wish this was a USB Type-C. Then an onboard microphone. A reset button. The power. So it is powered with DC 12 volts. The LEDs. Full-sized HDMI port. 3.5mm audio jack, the power button, speaker connector, LED connector, 2 times USB 2, 3 times UART, I2C, SPI, GPIOs, a fan connector, then 2 times USB 3 and 2 times USB 2, and gigabit Ethernets. I also wish this was 2.5 gigabit Ethernets, but you can't have it all. Then on the back we see the MIPI DSI, the SATA ribbon connector, in the middle the NVMe, then the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth E-key, then a really small tiny microphone connector, the RTC battery connector. So this one is very important. It is a pity it doesn't come with RTC on board, because this has got a BIOS. If you change anything in the BIOS without a battery, then the settings will not be saved if you plug it out. Luckily I had one from the Atomic Pi, else it would have been a drag to review this, because I would always have to change the BIOS settings for every boot. So I already said this comes with the Intel Celeron N5105, so the base clock is 2 GHz, max clock is 2.9 GHz and 2.65 GHz on all cores. So this is 10 nanometer 11 gen. The GPU is an Intel UHD graphics at 450 MHz base and 800 MHz boosts. Mine comes with 8 GB LPDDR4 at 1455 MHz. You can also buy it with 4 GB or with 16 GB. Mine comes with 128 GB of eMMC. You can also buy it without eMMC or up to 256 GB. So it can do triple display. It has got one full-sized HDMI port, one micro HDMI port, and then a MIPI DSI for the 7-inch display. It doesn't come with Wi-Fi or Bluetooth on board, but it has that M.2 E-key for Wi-Fi 5 plus Bluetooth 5 or Wi-Fi 6 with Bluetooth 5.2 or 4G LTE. So the rest we have talked about. So to download Windows we need to go to Youyeetoo Wiki. I tried an official Windows USB thumb drive, but that didn't work, so you have to use their images. That is a pity. I hope official Windows will work in the future. So here, install Windows. And there you can download Windows 11, here Windows 11 and there Windows 10. So if you want to install it on eMMC, open the scripts file, right click main cmd.cmd. So these are the files in the scripts folder. There is this file, so this script folder, there is this file. If you want it to be installed to eMMC, we set this to 0. If we want it to be installed to NVMe, then we set it to 1. So here, if you want it to be installed on SSD, change the value to 1. One important thing. So we copy all these files to a USB stick, but it has to be formatted as NTFS. It doesn't work if it is formatted as exFAT. So then we plug it in and it automatically installs Windows either to the eMMC or to an SSD. Mine came with a broken Windows installation, so I had to install it manually. It did take a long time. It took me a whole day to install everything from apps and set it up the way I wanted it. But now I'm happy with my Windows 11 installation. So I've got 3 displays connected. So with the ribbon cable, the 7-inch, then with micro HDMI, this one, and then my 4K display over here. So let me take this and go to here, and I'll go to there. Okay, so as you see, that works. And this one is also a touch screen, so I can use the touch. So that is pretty nice. 3 displays, 1 device. Hello everybody, so this is the sound of the onboard microphone from the Youyeetoo X1. So one problem that I had with the Youyeetoo X1 was that I didn't see any desktops in Linux desktops, but that was because the 7-inch display was always on, even when it was not connected. So as you see here, I am in my Ubuntu and there is no desktop, or at least there is no taskbar. So to fix this, I go to display settings, and as you see here the 7-inch is enabled. I go to single display, I choose the correct display, and now I can see my desktop. Some people will have to update their BIOS to enable the display. So the Windows experience is really good with this, certainly for an SBC. So I've got a laptop with the N5000 SoC, so this is a bit older. This is a way better experience than that laptop. It is faster, the GPU is faster, everything is better. So you can play multiple 4K videos, so let me play a 4K video of my own over here.
Hello all. Hello all, it's the last day, it is freaking hot. So the last full day that I stay here in Grovelin. Tomorrow I'm going home. So the day after, it's they say it's gonna rain, so that's why I wanna go.
And then open another 4K video file, and as you see, this plays pretty well, no dropped frames.
Protect me in a few hours, but right now it isn't. So I'm going for a walk.
I am NicoD. Today I am glad to say that I'm back with a new single board computer. So this is the most powerful ARM single board computer that I ever held in my hands. So I am very happy with it. So this is the Colossus Vim 4. So this is the newer version of the Colossus Vim 3. It also works good on 4K. Here I am using my 13-inch display, because I am using my 4K to do the video edits. So yesterday I've been playing some Kerbal Space Program on the X1. This with rather low settings, but it plays very well. I had a great time, so I wanted to make a rocket that goes with one stage into space and can return. So that's what I did. And this is it, the finished product. So very big fuel tanks. And so I launched it, and I went into space, and I made it into orbit, and I could return safely home. I was using my Bluetooth speakers, so I didn't record the sound of this, so you don't hear anything. So I have got Windows installed on the eMMC, and I also have got a 1TB NVMe installed on it, and on that I have got Ubuntu installed. So Ubuntu 22.04 with the default GNOME desktop. I prefer this is a better experience than Windows, but I just like Linux. Windows feels a little bit more sluggish than Ubuntu. On Ubuntu it really feels very snappy. But that's also because my NVMe is about 10 times as fast as the eMMC. But if you run Ubuntu from the SD card reader, then it still is fast enough. So let me open NeoFetch here and Edgetop and show you the CPU frequency and temperatures. And let's run a 7-zip benchmark. So the good thing with this SoC is it doesn't overheat. The fan keeps it always under 75 degrees Celsius. So it can stay at its boost clock. My N5000 laptop can also go to 2.6 boost clock, but it cannot sustain that because it's overheating. This can do it. But that also means that it consumes a lot more energy. So the 10 watts TDP is only when it is at a base clock of 2 GHz. I have seen it consume more than 36 watts, what the PSU is rated for, but that was between the plug and the PSU. There is always a loss. I should buy a clamp voltmeter so I can measure it on the cable itself on the input. So I'm doing a Blender render test in Windows. I have a lot of things connected. I have this SSD connected to my USB here. I don't have an NVMe right now, but I do have my my keyboard, so this display is on, this display is on. But now let's check. This is a problem. 46 watts. But this adapter is only 36. So we are already at 46. I don't get it. So here the transfer rates. So the eMMC of 128 GB in Windows did 274.8 megabytes a second read and 177 megabytes a second write. In Linux the read speed was a bit better, but the write speed was worse. Then the SanDisk Extreme Pro 128 GB SD card and the SD card reader did 87.7 megabytes a second read and 66.6 megabytes a second write. With my USB 3 SD adapter it did 89.9 megabytes a second read and 81.5 megabytes a second write. So the write could be better, but it still performs pretty well for an SD card reader on an SBC. So my gigabyte 256 GB NVMe did 1720 megabytes a second read and 1100 megabytes a second write. But then I bought the crucial P3 1TB and that did 3491 megabytes a second read and 3120 megabytes a second write. My external USB 3 to SATA SSD Crucial BX500 of 2TB did 456 megabytes a second read and 409 megabytes a second write. So the USB 3 speeds are pretty good. 450 megabytes is the most that I ever seen on a USB 3. So the Gigabit Ethernet did 110 megabytes a second read and 112 write. And the Wi-Fi adapter key E did 50 megabytes a second read and write. But in Ubuntu it was only 23 megabytes a second read and also write. I'm not sure why Ubuntu doesn't perform that well. Also the Bluetooth function doesn't work in Ubuntu. It does work with Windows. I posted about it on the forum. If you have the same problem, look at the forum at my posts. They posted a solution for it. So here are the benchmark results. So there was something wrong with Blender in Ubuntu 22.04. It took way longer than it should. But in Windows it did 5 minutes 17 seconds. My N5000 laptop did 9 minutes 23 seconds. My Microtronics R58 Mini with the RK3588 did 3 minutes and 25 seconds. And my Ryzen 3700X did 48 seconds about it. So it can't compete with a modern gaming PC of course, but that was expected. Else I wouldn't have my PC. So the 7-zip all cores and Windows I've done it with WSL2 to compare the performance between WSL2 and Ubuntu. So 10,171 MIPS in Windows 11, 12,079 in Ubuntu Studio 23.10, 12,000 MIPS in Ubuntu 22.04, the N5000 does 8,000 MIPS, the RockPi X 5700, the RK3588 16,900 and my PC 55,500. I've also done an Ambient build, so 28 minutes and 30 seconds with WSL2 on Windows 11, 2 hours 33 minutes on Docker on Ubuntu Studio 23.10, so Docker is very slow. And then on Ubuntu it was also 28 minutes and 38 seconds. So Ubuntu and WSL2 do about the same. My PC did it in 15 minutes and 32 seconds. And no way I was doing it on the RockPi X. That would have taken ages. So SuperTux cards, this is the GPU. 62 frames per second and 63 in Ubuntu on the X1. My N5000 laptop did 25 frames a second. The RockPi X 21 frames per second. RK3588 with the blob does 110 frames per second and 69 with Panfork. and my PC 112 frames per second, but it couldn't go any higher. So now my conclusion about the Youyeetoo X1 SBC. It is a very versatile SBC, it's just like a Swiss knife, it can do many things. It has great I/O, comparable with RK3588. It has got the NVMe, the eKey M.2, SATA, eMMC, SD reader, USB 3, triple display, the NFC receiver. This is something special, this is the only SBC which has got this. It has got multiple UARTs, I2C, GPIOs. The CPU is powerful enough for many light server tasks or light desktop use. It can run almost all x86 software and operating systems, so that's compared to ARM very good. It is great for a media server or a NAS. It can be used to replace old power-hungry x86 servers. Run x86 software, good for shops to use for accessing sales databases. Having NFC is a plus for that, or even for schools it would be sufficient and could be used to teach IoT to the kids. It is way more user-friendly than any ARM SBC, even compared to Raspberry Pi. It has way better I/O than Raspberry Pi 5 and a comparable CPU. And I would guess the price is about the same, since you get the heatsink plus fan, eMMC and a PSU included. For home users it is powerful enough for light desktop tasks. It can play YouTube videos, browse internet, run Office, check your mails. For gaming it isn't the most powerful device, but for older Windows games it is great. RK3588 with box 86 and 64 can't run these games as well. For emulation it isn't as powerful as RK3588 then. It can't do PS2 games. That's a pity, but it can do PS1, PSP, Nintendo 64, Dreamcasts and all the others. It is a very nice experience to work with it. Windows is a little bit sluggish, but has good drivers and is stable. Official Windows thumb drives do not work, so you have to use unofficial Windows images from Youyeetoo. Ubuntu 2204 desktop is a better experience for me, it runs very smooth. But there are a few issues with Ubuntu, like the Bluetooth not working and Wi-Fi being slow. I don't use Bluetooth, so no problem for me. The biggest issue that I found is that it can consume a lot. When having many things connected, like the 7-inch display and extra USB devices and NVMe and SATA, it can consume more than the PSU is rated for. I will look more into this. I will see to get a clamp voltage meter so I can check this correctly. It is very silent, but it makes a very light electric hum noise and a clicking noise. Only with my ears next to it I can hear it, so it doesn't annoy me. The fan makes less noise than this clicking sound, so that's no problem. I could sleep with it in my room, and normally I can't sleep with a fan on. For me it is ideal as second desktop to play YouTube videos or music, or to play games when my first desktop is busy compiling or rendering. So I like it a lot. I am an ARM nerd and will keep using my RK3588 as main desktop, but often I need to turn on my PC to run some x86 software like RK DevTools. Now I do not need my PC for that. My PC consumes way too much and makes too much noise, so I love this a lot more. But for gaming, of course, my PC is way better. So I'm very happy to have this board. Now I am getting more curious about that N100 sock. If you want to help me buy it, please do so. You can help me with Patreon or with PayPal. Links here in the description. So thank you all for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel. See you all later. Bye.